What's going on, y'all? It's another episode of Minding Your Biz. I'm one of your co-hosts, Dr. Black Wealth, and we got...
Hey, y'all. It's your girl, Miss Fab Financial, checking in.
Coming in live?
Yes, we got a special edition.
Friday night.
Friday just got paid.
Hey.
Money in your pocket.
We got a special guest in the building.
Yes, we do. Let's
reel
it
away.
back in.
Reel it back. Special guest in the building.
That's right. For sure. I'm super excited. This is the top fund manager, Justin Giles, right?
Yes, sir.
Let's give a round of applause.
Yes, sir.
Good
Thanks for having me.
They're like, Dag, who is he? Is Black Superman to me. I was like, he is super. Sorry, let me stay focused. Let me get serious. Okay, so Justin, if you guys don't know him, Justin Giles, I don't know, he's 7-8 figure real estate mogul. I don't know.
I'm trying.
Father, husband, businessman, all the things in real estate, right? That's kind of where you kind of...
That's it. Everything real estate. I got a lot to talk about, too.
You guys kind of when you planted the flag, like real estate is
I had to stick with it.
So my first question for people, why real estate, right? Why not anything else, right? Stocks, bonds, I don't know, anything else, but why real estate?
No, great question. So funny enough, I more so second generation real estate. So me and my brother were supposed to actually take over an internet technology company when I was pretty much coming out of college. My parents built it when we were little babies and ended up being a multi-million-dollar internet technology company where we had offices in Germany, Singapore, South Africa, Johannesburg, South Africa. We had offices in Florida, Seattle, Washington, but all over Germany.
Right.
And I went to college to major in economics, and my goal was, okay, you know what? Me and my brother, let's take it public. Parents ended up going through a nasty divorce, but I always noticed that my parents invested in real estate along with having that business. So throughout my entire life, my parents bought a bunch of different houses. And I would notice that when they couldn't make payroll, because when you guys own a business, guess what? You're going to have payroll.
That's right.
That payroll sometimes, whether or not you're making money,
every 2 weeks,
you got to make sure your employees, your staff getting paid.
Absolutely.
100%.
Because you're responsible for a lot of mouths to get feed. So I would notice that they would take care of sometimes if a contract didn't pay out, hey, we got the real estate to fall back on. Yeah. So when my parents ended up getting divorced, that business was no longer there to take over. So we said, you know what? Me and my brother, let's get into real estate.
That's getting real estate.
And I stuck with it ever since.
Started. So, thank you for even bringing that in, right? Most of us, I know for me, in our family, we're kind of like first generation of like money makers, right? And so a lot of times people talking about generational wealth, but hey, my family built this multi-million-dollar. What was it like when you were young? Like what the environment or the talk, the language when you were maybe growing up, right?
Yeah.
With your parents, what was that money talk like? Or maybe it was just the energy. I don't know. Did they have talks with you about?
No, for sure. All the time. So what's so funny? People have this whole mentality. I start from the bottom, right?
Right.
You know what's even harder? Keeping wealth.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Talk about it.
That's
right?
tough.
Yeah.
It's hard. So you'll have people, they'll be like, oh man, y'all rich, man. Y'all rich. So growing up, I grew up in a house probably is worth like $6 million right now.
Come on now.
So I like,
the $6 million.
Well, you
sound effects, that bill.
Where my bill, y'all? Come on.
So the house I grew up in is probably worth like $6 million right now. It's in one of the richest neighborhoods in the Southeast.
Right.
And, the thing is that when my parents ended up getting divorced, it was kind of nasty. And growing up, like you're talking about, you hear all these different things about businesses, like what you do with your business. I went Ivy League. My brother went to Georgia Tech. So, we went to the best schools.
Yeah.
And I grew up around a lot of very affluent Black people.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things that you learn, and I appreciate coming from that environment. And we'll get into all that sauce and all those secrets of success. So even though when I came out of college, I didn't have like a bunch of cash, right? Because it just wasn't there.
Right.
And I can get into that. But I still had an infinite amount of cash as far as up here, as far as how it's made.
Right.
So even though we came from this very fluid environment, my brother and I had to start over, but that wasn't my mom's intention. In fact, my mom was pissed we had to start over.
Right. I'm sure.
You know,
She probably
as
was like,
as young adults. But unfortunately, sometimes when you guys get married, you might have differences, and then shit hits the fan. You know, and what I was saying is that,
amen. Sometimes,
you know, well,
Yeah.
Hit the fan.
and finances, of course, is what breaks up a lot of different, you know, relationships. So one thing that I was happy about is me and my brother, and my dad will say this, is that we were raised to be entrepreneurs. Like, there was no other way.
Right.
So I had very bad experiences working in corporate America, especially as a black person. So I said, well, I got to figure out how to make money out of nothing, which I'll also get into as well. Because I know on this, you know, it's minding your biz.
That's
y'all want to
right.
know how to get to this paper. Y'all see the green on the logo. Stop playing. So y'all know what time it is.
Talk to him.
Right?
Talk to him.
So that being said, when I had to start over, it is very hard. Like I said, not only getting to a certain way of making money, when I say a certain way, a certain level, but it's even harder to stay there. And most entrepreneurs, you'll have people that are, you know, corporate. You'll have people that also, you'll see that play sports. They lose their wealth.
Yeah.
You know, they lose their money because no one really talks about how to keep it.
Yeah.
And like I said, I know you guys will probably want to dive into that, but yeah, there's a lot of stuff that was talked about. So I think your question was, what are some of the things that was talked about? Or
maybe
some of the things-
even subconsciously, right? I know, you know, even before going into, you know, the Ivy League schools where, you know, they definitely talk business and prepping you, and you're kind of, you know, you're amongst a lot of, you know, affluent people or people who are kind of already generationally ahead. But even in your home, like feeling I know there was pressure. I'm sure there was pressure, but you know, the conversation, or maybe it wasn't a conversation.
No,
maybe it was
I'll tell you what the
maybe
conversation
just through
was.
osmosis, the
It was-
energy. You was like,
you know what? You know what it was? It was subliminal, and I hate to say it, and it sounds very stuck up. But ever since I was little, like my dad in particular, he'd be like, "See that? That's a wage earner, son." And he looked down on wage earners. If that makes sense,
right? No, for
Not
sure.
not really looking down, but he's like,
But that's a difference of income because they're going to work. They're workers, right? And that's not where a lot of the income comes from. You got to be the producer or the generator of the wealth.
Yeah,
They got to work for you.
Yeah. So the thing is, he's like, all right, see, that's a wage earner. That's wage earners. You guys aren't wage earners. You guys make your own wage. Like, you make your own thing. So growing up, I'm like, damn, what are you looking at wage? What's that, wage earners? So then I'm like, a wage earner is a bad thing.
Right.
So he's like, you don't want to earn a wage.
Right.
You want to make your wage. So subliminally in my head, I'm like, oh, okay, well, dang, I got to make sure that
I'm not a wage earner.
I'm not a wage
Yeah.
earner. So
Right.
that was one of the things that.
Do you say that to your
ever since I
sons?
was little.
Or
Nah,
do you-
they too young. They're 2 and 4.
You be like, you a wage earner.
You gotta,
son.
but you
a
gotta
wage
start
They-
early.
wage earner.
Where they have the recording on the belly. Look, you not a wage earner.
And then as I got older, he changed his tune, which is weird. So I'm like, he's like, nope. You can be an entrepreneur in a corporation.
So you're like,
I was
wait,
like,
what is
this
that?
when I was
Come
little.
through, Dad. We gotta get Dad on.
He was like, yes, you could be an entrepreneur in a corporation. You know, you need to have multiple entrepreneurs in a corporation because of the fact that, hey, everybody's working for the same team.
Right.
And I'm like, well, you just know I'm waiting. Now you telling entrepreneur in a corporation. I'm like, well, which one is it?
Right.
But keep in mind, I'm grown as hell at this point. I'm like 35. So, you know, I'm already brainwashed about the wage earner part.
Right,
So
right.
I was like, that was on purpose. And then you gonna have other stuff talking about that. But yeah, but that was one thing. And then just being creative. So both of my parents, it wasn't even necessarily what it was talked about, but a lot of times you look at stuff and you look at action. So what is the action? So my mom and dad built the business together. So I see my mom run the business. I see my dad run the business, and I'm seeing all these different things that they're doing together as a team. So then when I got married, I was like, and I know that you can attest to this,
Yeah.
is that you want to make sure that you have a partner that can add value to you, that can also help you run the business. So when I got married, I said, well, I want to have a wife to help me run my businesses.
Yes.
Because that's what I grew up seeing. And you going to work with me now and not work for me, work with me.
Love that.
And I noticed that a lot of times, what ended up sometimes causes confusion is that when you do work with a spouse, you don't work for me. And sometimes you're like, no, you work for me. And
Right.
that can cause an issue.
For sure.
But
For
when
sure.
you work together as a team, then it's a whole different type of environment and a different type of mindset to where you're building something together.
For sure.
So real estate, right? So what type of real estate we in? Commercial spaces, residential? What did you do to pick the lane of real estate, and specifically what?
100%. So I'm in every single lane of real estate that you can possibly imagine.
Oh, wow.
Actually.
Okay.
So I vertically integrated my business. So when I came out of college and I realized the IT company wasn't there, the first thing I did was got into investing. The market crashed. But as far as all the lanes of real estate I'm in, I have a real estate brokerage firm.
Okay.
So real estate brokerage firms, you have realtors work under your company. But I also said, well, what all goes into real estate? How can you make money on every aspect possible of real estate? So, okay, you got real estate agents. But before I was a real estate agent, I was a real estate investor.
Okay.
So I had my own real estate hedge fund and I have a real estate investment company. And then I thought to myself, okay, well, if you're a real estate investor and you're making money in real estate, then you get your real estate license so you can make money off the commission. So that's when I started the real estate brokerage firm. But then also, when you're getting into real estate, what do you also have to deal with?
Contractors, production. I mean, the fixing up.
Contractors, right. Contractors. So I said, okay, well, then I start my own contracting company. But then what else in real estate do you need to close a deal? So you're an investor, you then a real estate broker.
Title company.
So I start my own title company called Title Gurus.
Come on now.
All right. So then I was like, all right, so what else? You have the title company, you got but you got to get a loan, don't you? So I started my own lending company called Lending Gurus.
Oh, that's
right.
Yeah.
So then I was like, well, what else goes into it? Well, people like to learn. So get into the education space. So then I'll consult people how on investing in real estate.
Yeah.
Right. So I pretty much, 100% vertically integrated the entire business. So I don't have to go anywhere but myself. So then you can have multiple streams of income in your business. And that goes for any business.
For sure.
I mean, you can literally vertically integrate if you're in taxes, if you're in consulting, if you're in even
bookkeeping,
law,
payroll,
all types of stuff.
And I think that's super important. A lot of people talk about all these 7 streams of income, but they make sense, right? You're not like, well, I'm gonna do real estate, and then I'm a sell hair, and then I'm like, I want to sell sunglasses. You know what I mean? You're like in the same area, but you vertically integrate. You expanded your catalog, which is that 7 stream of income. Why just do one thing in that industry, which is super important. Sometimes people, I think, don't get the 7 streams, right? They have like different trickles of like all these different trickles, not streams. It's like all these different things that are not a thing. You mastered that one thing and then you just built upon it.
100%.
No, 100%. So we identify almost like 6 or 7 different companies, right? So we got every facet of real estate covered. So tell us about 2 things. One, the first deal, right? The should I say the cherry pop deal, and then like the first deal going wrong.
Got it. Understood. So when I got into the business, I got in around 21. And my first deal, my brother and I, we ended up buying a condo in the place where we lived at. So it was a condo in the Buckhead, Sandy Springs area. It was a foreclosure. We bought it for around $75,000. We ended up putting a little bit of work into it, sold it for around, I think like maybe about 110. Okay. We made about $25,000. I'm 21, Brad's 23. Man, we quit our jobs after that. It was around 2006.
Okay.
We done.
You're like, this it.
This is it. So I was working at this one company called Centos First Aid and Safety, and I was driving around in like almost like a milk truck stuffing Band-Aids and boxes. And I'm like, yo, I'm out. I was there 4 months. I was like, I'm out. Brad was the auditor of the place. He's like, I'm out. So we in the club, we kicking it. You guys know what time it is. We out here, And next thing you know, I said, all right, let's go ahead and get another deal. So we ended up buying another property, and this was my mistake. And this is what I always tell people. Every time you invest, always make sure that you would live in the property yourself. So for that particular investment, we would live in the property ourselves because we live in the complex. We know the area. It's a good area.
Yeah.
But we then end up going to look at a property and bought it in a neighborhood that was undesirable. But at the time, I'm 21.
You're
I'm
like,
over here.
It's a good deal.
Thinking it's a good deal because someone told me it's a good deal. Some wholesaler said it was a good deal. And these are the comps. And I didn't realize there was a lot of mortgage fraud going on in that area. And it was a lot of different things that caused the comparables of that particular house to be so high. Ended up buying it, and pretty much that's when everything started going downhill from there.
Wow.
You know, it was a 3-bedroom, 1 bath, but it was really a 2-bedroom, 1 bath. And in real estate, you never really want to buy a property that's a 1 bath unless you could probably add a bathroom to it, because nobody wants to take it in the same bathroom when you're having a barbecue and everybody's eating the wrong baked beans. You just don't want that.
You definitely don't want to do that.
You don't want that. You don't want your master bedroom messed up like that. So guess what? That house is going to have a hard time selling. So you want to make sure you get something that actually is at least a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, then with a carport or a garage. Because that house didn't have a carport or a garage.
Oh, no. So
and it was
parking?
undesirable.
Oh, no.
Wow.
Well, it was not street parking. You had a carport, but when I say carport, like you have the thing that you can still cover your car from the elements. And then also, you want to make sure you don't have a lot of foot traffic around the areas. So it was a lot of foot traffic, and we got robbed pretty much, probably maybe like once a month. Not personally, but
right,
the house
stuff
did.
Taking out the stuff.
You know,
So what did you know that made you purchase it? Because it sounded like all these lessons was like after we purchased, then we started building all this. What made you like get the deal?
Just because a wholesaler, it was on some website, and a lot of people get taken advantage of people that are wholesalers.
Gotcha.
Or people that are persuading you to go buy a property, and you don't know any better. Like I said, I'm 21 at the time.
Yeah.
You know, this is my second deal. And they're saying, hey, the after repair value is going to be around 150 or 170, and you can sell it for that. It needs this amount of work. And I didn't understand exactly what I was doing because I was so green. And that's the importance of dealing with people and having mentors that can say, hey, look, I've been there. This is how you want to steer it. And I made a lot of mistakes being, of course, young, not having anybody to guide me on that. And I ended up buying a deal that was trash. And that neighborhood still trash.
Got you.
Lesson learned.
Still trash.
Got you. So I think a lot of on our show, we kind of like to deal with the people who have built a business, right? So we got a lot of people who talk about like, hey, how did I get started? How you can get started. But then we never get to hear like the actual business building principles that people actually build. One of the things you need to build a business is money. We need cash flow, right? So real estate, from an outsider looking in, sounds a bit risky, right? Like, well, if I buy a house, I might cash flow 2 to 3, 500 a month. Is that a good way for me to sustain a lifestyle? So in real estate, how fast or what could somebody do if they started now, or what did you do rather, that we start building up that cash flow to make sure we had cash to reinvest and actually build the business model in the 7 different businesses that you built?
For sure. That's
how did we get to the cash?
Before you answer, I do hear a lot of people, they're always like get into the fix and flip, but they over leverage, they selling, and then they're taking loans out of them. So what do you think helped you keep either a certain amount of doors, or what was your strategy, right, to keep cash flow, to build, to grow? You know, how like what was that?
So there's a few different steps to it, but let's just say that we'll have a person. So I'm gonna go off of today's market.
100%.
So today's market, let's say everybody here, people are watching this video. If you have no cash, no credit, pretty much like nothing going on great for you in life, sucks right now. Well, that's like a lot of people right now in this particular market because
100%.
ain't nobody got cash.
Right.
So in order to build wealth right now, what I would suggest is you can make money out of air. So I had to go through it. And what I teach people, you can go find a property. And it's the same thing. I'll just break it down. This is the best way to put it without confusing somebody. Let's say that this hoodie I have on is from Zara. And let's say that this hoodie is made in China for $5. Let's say that you guys go create a website selling this hoodie, that you know that you have a contract that you can go buy this hoodie for $5 from a vendor in China. You then have different versions of the hoodie on your website for $50, right? Like Zara does. Okay. So now you promote this particular website over to the masses or to people that are interested in hoodies. And then they go on your website and say, okay, I'm gonna go buy this for $50. And then they send you the $50 first. You don't have the hoodie in inventory. You don't even own the hoodie yet. But your vendor, of course, has the hoodie that will provide it for you once you pay them the $5. You take the $50, you take $5 out of the $50, you're now left with $45. You pay the Chinese vendor $5. Next thing you know, you profited $45 by selling a product you don't own. I think in some industries they call that drop shipping or something. I'm not too familiar with the service.
Yeah.
So you can do the same thing with a house. You can just drop shipping houses, right? But you're finding deals. So you go find a house, and let's say this house is under market, and you go find it using different strategies that I have. And this particular house is going for $200,000. And you find somebody that wants to buy this property for $215,000. It's the same concept. You can then do what's called wholesaling. And then you'll make 15 grand not using any of your own cash. And then you can do this without using credit, without using, of course, any money, and not having experience. The only thing is, the hard part is finding somebody that will pay you that $215 for it. So you have so many people that'll hop on podcasts that'll drop game, right? And I put game up there, but game has to be followed up with connections.
Yeah.
So the reason why a lot of people around me are so successful, and a lot of people that are successful in life, isn't necessarily because of the fact that they're extremely good at what they do. It's just they have the connections. So for me, anytime I deal with a person, my connections run so strong. Like, I'm buying 45 houses in 45 days. That's my goal. I was like, all right, I got to the end of the year, I'm buying 45 houses, 45 days, right? So imagine I got people that are like me, and I'm still buying these deals anyway. So I'm super connected. So if I go talk to anybody out there, hey, this is what we're looking for, this is the criteria, this, that, and the third, go ahead and get under contract. I'll pay you per a certain amount of money off whatever you find, off you doing a double close, whatever. So now they can go out there and go find as many deals as they want, bring them over to me, and then they can make 10 grand, 15 grand, 5 grand, 20 grand, however we negotiate. Pretty much though, I wouldn't know what you got under contract for if you sell it to me at $215 because I want to buy it for $215.
For sure.
And you got it for $150.
Because you know the after repair value, so you know it's
as
a
long
good
as the
deal.
numbers,
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
As long as the numbers make sense, I don't really care.
100%.
But all these so-called gurus out here, they ain't got no motherfucking connections. Excuse my language. They ain't
So
got
it's
cash.
relationship
They ain't got
building.
no
It's
money.
relationships.
They ain't buying stuff. All they doing is selling courses. And, you know, that's how they make their money. For me, I came from a house. That's why I'm looking like this. I just came from a house. You know, coming from different properties. I bought 3 houses today.
Right.
Like, but the thing is that you guys can go out, find different properties, and find people that actually have the money to then go buy those properties from you. And it's that simple.
100%.
But the hardest part is the connections. And that's the thing. So anybody, you don't have any cash, no experience, nothing like that. All you do is go deal with somebody that actually is looking to buy, find people that are looking to buy, find a product that they actually want that's based off of what's called in this particular market, a buy box. A buy box is just your criteria for what that particular company or individual wants in regards to the properties that they typically acquire. My buy box is going to be a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, minimum carport or garage in neighborhoods that are, you know, like
Desirable.
nice. Desirable.
For sure.
And that's it.
So wholesale.
Okay, for wholesaling it works, right?
That's one way.
But I for sure. But I'm really curious about the people who are like, I'm in real estate. I've done a few fix and flips, right? But how do I turn this thing into a real business, right? How do I make this thing really make money for me, right? Or the person that's like, I don't really want to fix and flip, right? Like, how do you transition to some type of monthly income? Because I know fix and flippers, right? But they live and die by that. They're like,
100%.
every deal is like, I got to fix and flip it, right? So how do you then go, I don't,
cash flow,
right?
manage cash
You know what I
flow,
mean?
grow
Like, how
cash
do
flow.
you, or is it like the next big deal? The next big deal. I just need to save more money from the next big deal. I guess it's money management at that point.
100%. So for me, a lot of people probably been feeling this for this year, but the real estate market has been very hard for the majority of the nation. In fact, I was reading an article the other day. This is the worst real estate market in the past 30 years. Out of every 1,000 listings, only 25 have sold over the past 8 months, from January to August, when I was looking at that particular article. So I'm making the most money I've ever made.
You're doing great because you have cash. You're
about 3
No, I
houses.
wasn't. No, but hear me out though. So yes, cash is king, But I have a lot of ways of doing stuff to where I don't have to even use cash like that. So like I've transcended, you know, but
give us something real.
But the thing is that you don't have to have cash to make money.
Gotcha.
You know, that's the thing. But like I was saying, just if this is the worst real estate market to where there's no real estate is at a standstill. And the thing is that when real estate's at a standstill, that means that the entire economy is rough, because when interest rates right now are so high, right, it's hard to borrow money. And I'm an econ major in college. So what happens, the government implements two different things to influence the markets. You have monetary policy and you have fiscal policy. Monetary policy.
Come through, Ivy League. Come through. That's what I'm talking. Tell the people know what's going on.
So the government does monetary policy, and monetary policy is basically when they're controlling the money supply. So you'll see them raise interest rates, and they raised interest rates because of the fact they wanted to decrease inflation. Yeah. They wanted to slow down the economy. And the reason why when interest rates get high, the economy slows down is because a lot of the banks and these people that have a lot of cash, they'll find it very lucrative to go buy treasury bonds. So when the government is now sucking up cash from people buying their high interest treasury bonds, these investment banks and major corporations and all these different huge companies that would typically be loaning cash to us, no, we're going to go to the government, right? So now cash to borrow is very expensive because if the government is going to give them 8% or 9% on a 2-year bond or a 3-year bond or a 10-year bond, and you own a multi-billion-dollar hedge fund, right? You're not going to be doing a bunch of business with local people. 100%. So now that contracts the economy. It takes money out of the economy. And then for fiscal policy, that's when the government implements different policies, or when COVID happened, we're going to do some laws to where that's law, right? Fiscal policy is law, or they'll do certain initiatives to where we're going to give people that are under this particular age this money and that. That's fiscal policy. So you'll have those different things that also stimulate the economy. But now what's going on is they're going to start lowering interest rates. But right now, interest rates haven't lowered to where they're supposed to. So let's go back to the problem. There was a lot of people during COVID, the interest rates pretty much went to zero. As a result, you didn't really have any, money was just super cheap. Right. And then they're pumping money into the economy by doing the fiscal policy. We're doing Trump checks. We're doing all these different things. We're doing stimmies, PPP, EDIL, all this stuff. So now everybody has so much cash, right? When that happened, a lot of people were buying houses at these very cheap interest rates. So you notice that real estate market was going crazy.
It was.
And what the standstill now is, and the reason why we're at such a horrible real estate market in the last 30 years, like this is the worst real estate market, say, in 30 years. Worst real estate market. Because of the fact that people don't want to move. And I know you guys heard that. People don't want to move because it's too expensive for them to move. Yeah. Because if they're already locked in on a 3% loan or a 2% loan, even a 4% loan, to then go buy that same house at 8% almost increases their expenses significantly. So now the government is at this conundrum. How do I keep from having inflation but still stimulating the economy? And now all this money that was sitting on the sidelines waiting for the presidential election to end, these funds and Wall Street was trying to figure out who was going to win. Now that they know who won, which is the person they wanted, guess what? You're going to see the real estate market and a bunch of different policies be implemented next year that's going to go to stimulating the economy. And whoever was going to win anyway, the economy is going to be stimulated. But now you actually have the Wall Street people are happy that their candidate got in. So you saw the markets go crazy after Trump got elected.
For sure.
Everything.
Right? So now money is going to start becoming cheaper and cheaper to borrow because the Fed is cutting rates more and more.
Yeah.
But let's keep in mind, you get Trump in office and, y'all could quote me on it, but they're already trying to take over the Fed.
Right.
Because they want rates to go down quicker because their constituents been pissed off. Rates been so high.
For the past couple of years.
But I do have I'm a political girl.
Oh,
so
my God.
He brought it up. So I just want to ask the question.
Oh, my God.
You're in real estate. estate, right?
Talk to
You
the
in
people.
construction, and a lot of times the workers are undocumented, right?
Yeah.
Let's keep it real.
Yeah.
We've done real estate. Where is he with husband, right?
Right.
And we've had people, so, but if they're all gone, not all, but we know, what does that look like, you think, for
You
construction and
hire
real
the
estate?
documented people.
Yeah. So
I mean,
so
these
you
are,
know what? I mean, I would think
we had a project. I
Yeah.
just want to say this. We were working on the house, and the entire van got imported. Everybody
damn.
who worked on the house was imported. Was deported.
Yeah.
Not imported.
No,
They
yeah,
was
like,
gone.
I know what you meant.
They was deported.
I know what you meant.
We were done for like 2 weeks until we had to find the people, right? We were like, who are we going to get? I think we called you. I think we were
Probably.
like, Justin, we need a towel guy.
I think I remember that.
Everybody's, the jig is up. I don't know. What are
You know, I'm with you. I mean, I think that, you still have a lot. I don't think they're going to be able to deport everybody.
For sure.
But hypothetically speaking, let's just say in the perfect world, they're able to deport everybody that was illegal.
Not even everybody, but let's say 40, 50%, 40%.
I still think that there's enough people out there, and there's still so many people that have certain skills that you can still get prices at a certain price, regardless of how
money's
many
out
people
there.
You don't.
get.
money's out there.
So you'll
Yeah.
still be
Money's
able to
out
get.
there.
I'll still be able to get the frame and the roof for like
But-
15. Right.
But also in a perfect world, let's just put it out there too. If there's less competition, then typically prices should go up.
For sure.
But if you already are doing so much volume, already have our relationships, and your relationships are legal, then it just depends. But to answer your question is, for me, I think because I'm so insulated, I feel that I wouldn't be as affected as much as people that are not as seasoned
For sure.
in the business. So I would say overall, if you have to deal with people that are, legal and you're more of a civilian, then I think that would increase the price. Because I'm never going to Home Depot to go buy granite, period. That makes no sense.
Right.
No disrespect, Home Depot.
Right.
But, that's going to be a higher price than
For
going
sure.
to Alejandro.
Yeah.
That's don't ask, don't tell.
Right. I'm just saying the hookups might dry up.
Oh my God.
So, yeah.
So look, so you relationships. We said this a few times. You did rather. I remember going to when I first worked corporate, it was technically Northwestern Mutual. We sell life insurance. Me being one of two black people in the all white, or we gotta say white. I don't know. Anyway,
You say white folks. White people say black people. It's
Right?
like-
I don't. I mean,
white folks.
Don't be scared.
I don't know. I don't want y'all be like.
YT. What?
I'll be like, don't get us canceled, so I be having to censor my
Man,
words
white
sometimes.
folks,
So
man, white
You scared to say white? You can.
in an all-white office.
Okay.
But the one thing that I did learn was, from a business perspective, even personal, but mostly from a business perspective, white people were kind of mastery in building relationships. Hey, I know my guy John, my girl Susan, she works at this bank, might go over here. If you go over here,
Yeah.
you talk to these people. And what I do know about black people when we get in business, we're not really privy to relationships, for one, two, how to build relationships. And it could be a lot of trauma from our own self. A lot of people go through divorced parents, et cetera. So many factors to it. When you got into business, I guess, where's the foster of knowing I'm having to build relationships? Was that just from how mom and dad worked?
Right.
And then how did you actually cultivate relationships to where you can get to a point where listen, I don't need cash, but I can leverage relationships that can help me do what it I need to do. How important is relationship building in business for you?
100%. So
And how you did it, right? We want to know the how. We nosy. How,
Yeah. So I think one of the things that a lot of people have to get in their mind is that they'll say that college isn't necessary. Hey, you go to a trade school, you can go to college. But one of the things that I learned early on is when you go to college, you're not really going for the education. You're going for the connections.
Say it again. That should be a shirt.
When you're going,
for the
college,
connections.
You're not necessarily going to college for the education. You're going for the connections. So you have to make sure that you choose whatever you do wisely. So in regards to building relationships, I always knew that when I'm going to go do anything, I want to make sure that I'm networking and talking to people that have certain stature, not stature, that's probably the wrong word for it, but basically certain resources that I can benefit from so that we can all benefit from each other.
Sure.
So I speak fluent Spanish. I was a foreign exchange student in Spain when I was in high school. So when I started out in real estate, it was pretty straightforward for me to connect with a lot of people in the Hispanic community, because I speak Spanish. But also too, it's just, in any business, if you're selling hair, you want to make sure that you're dealing with people that have those connections and resources that can probably get you the product pretty cheap from wherever they get their products from. So I just understood. I don't even think it was a race thing. I just knew that it's important to make sure that, hey, in order to get ahead in life, you got to network and talk to people. So when I was going through it, when I came out of college and the market crashed, because we didn't talk about that. When the market crashed, my credit score was a 400. I had a foreclosure. I had a short sale. Like, I didn't know where my money was coming from. I had to make money for like 2 years.
Wow.
And I had to figure out, like, do I go back to corporate America or do I have to make it work? So then when I was going through it and I had no cash, no income, horrible credit, coming from this extremely wealthy background, right, is that I had to kind of start from the bottom. And the thing is, like I was saying, a lot of people that people would look at me as, oh, well, this dude is a spoiled rich kid. Well, actually, far from it, right? But if I was a spoiled rich kid, I wouldn't know how to make money from nothing. I wouldn't have the work ethic.
Right.
So when I had to start over, when the market crashed and I lost pretty much all my money and my credit was messed up, I was backed into a corner and I had to figure out, okay, what type of relationships can I build? Who can I talk to help me get back on my feet? Or what can I do to make money out of nothing so I ain't got to go back to work for anybody? So then I got my real estate license. And then I'll go to all these different networking functions and I would start selling houses to people that look like me, young black professionals at that time. A lot of white folks weren't dealing with me. It's so weird. Even being 40, white people do not work with me like that.
Really?
No. White people, I'm friendly. It's cool. You know what I'm saying?
He's friendly, y'all.
You guys can deal with me. I have some white, mentees and clients, but for the most part, white folks don't mess with me like that.
You seem like you would be like white adjacent, helpful. Like you don't, like he not like, raw, like a, you know what I mean? Like it's some black people you might be like, well, I see why.
Like when I would go to,
you got a nice smile and everything. Y'all mess with Justin. Y'all better get with him.
I go to these listing appointments. I remember when I was in my early 20s, I'll go to these listing appointments. I'll be on the phone. Hey, how you doing? I ain't know what race I was, I guess, So I go to listing appointment. They're like, hey, it's me. Okay, I wouldn't get it. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't get the listing. There'll be like a $2 million listing, $3 million listing. Like I would pretty much not get any business with white folks. Like them white folks was not
even
fucking
in
with
Georgia.
me. They wouldn't fuck with me. And I'm cursing about it because I was like, damn, hey, I would have some that would give me a try, but for the most part, no.
Okay, I just want you to know that you gonna get clipped up. That's gonna be on the white folks ain't messing with him. So
it doesn't bother me. I ain't hurt my pockets, but the thing is that, so then I realized my demographic was, people would gravitate towards me that look like me and now network with, those folks. So I ended up making a lot of my money off of selling houses to young black professionals. Yeah. And then I took that cash, and when the market was so cheap, I would then make money off of buying properties for like 10, 15 grand. Cause back around 2009, 2010, the market was still recovering. So you could buy properties in a lot of different states for significantly cheaper prices than what they were still going for. And I would take that and I started turning it. And that's how I started really getting back to where I need to be. But truth be told, I still do business. I do business with white people and white folks. But when it comes to real estate agency, listen, man, I'm like, if I was trying to be a star listing agent and having people try to give me their listings. Not I just invest, but ain't it fair? You probably do good, but me and you, we're gonna have a hard time.
100% every time.
We're gonna have
Black
a hard
man.
time.
Don't start your stuff. We're not doing that today. We're not doing that today.
What's from the years, right? So now we
got. Wait a minute, I have one quick question. When you were like down and out, when you were like, oh my God, I lost everything. What was the parental advice where they was like, you done, you got to figure it out? So, or were they like, let me help you, son?
And how did you feel knowing where you came from to where you was at then?
So me and my dad didn't talk from 19 to 28. So I had a Bentley before I talked to my dad.
Okay.
So like I didn't,
so that fall helped you with no,
so me and my dad didn't have a relationship for 9 years, damn near 10 years.
Is that from the divorce? Or?
That was from the divorce.
Right.
So me and my brother didn't talk to our dad we chose mom's side. They ain't like that. So,
that's right, mama's boys.
Yeah, moms be winning, I guess.
They not like us.
So, but my mom, she was already kind of dealing with the market crash herself, so she couldn't really help us like she wanted to. She helped us out in the beginning, but me and my brother, we ended up losing a lot of that cash from the market crash. Gotcha. So she didn't have anything to kind of help us out with. Okay. So with that being said, mom was like, well, y'all got to go get a job.
I got to figure it out.
She said, go get a job. I was like, I can't go work for people anymore. And I was like, definitely not white folks. Sorry. I say white folks. So I was like, I couldn't do it. Right. So that's when I was like, let me go get my real estate license. Let me start trying to, see what I can do. And then that's when I started creating all these different methods. So a lot of the methods that I have to really being successful in real estate and creating all these different opportunities for other people that might be down and out, or people that feel like they don't have a way, is because I had to go through it. So going through it and going through all these different failures, like, man, there's times I had so much anxiety, like so many, like your heart's pounding because you don't know where not the next meal. Yeah. I'm always going to eat, but I'm just like, dang, I don't know how I'm going to make it throughout the week. So then I had to figure out strategies. How do I make money like this much in a couple days? And I started doing stuff. So what I did is I was like, all right, how do I make money out of nothing? All right, I'm a real estate agent. All right, flat fee listings. So I'm just cold calling people every day. And I'm like, hey, is your property still available? And I'll be on my motorcycle at the time, and I'll go ride around for sale by owners, and I'll write down the number. And I'll say, hey, I see your property's on the market for sale. Is that still available? Yes, still available. Okay, awesome. Are you paying a commission for it? Yeah, I'm paying a commission. Well, I'm doing a deal right now. I'm going to do it for 2 days where I can list your property at a flat fee of $1,000 and only charge you 1% if you list your property with me right now, because we're doing this, So I'm like, how do I make this money?
Right.
And then it was working. So I had a good mouthpiece.
That's good. Real estate, flat fee listings.
Flat fee listings back in the day. So
they pay you up front to list $1,000, and then that's smart. Yeah.
So I was like, hey, commercial listings, $1,000, flat fee listings.
And you don't have to wait till it closes.
Not wait until it closes.
That's smart, y'all.
I just need the money.
That's a good play.
That's the gym.
See me, that's an old school play for me. I did that in my 20s. Like we passed that. That ain't nothing now.
That ain't nothing to do right now.
Like, I don't even,
There's somebody right now that's like, I don't have no money. I'm gonna do a flat fee listen, call them up, pay me $1,000 now, and when we sell it in 30 days, you don't owe me nothing.
Yep. So I started a website called clickitandlistit.com. So that was my flat fee listing site. Now I'm transitioning that site to compete with Zillow. I forgot about that business. I got a lot of businesses. But at the time, I was like, hey, here's the website, click it and list it. Go ahead and click it. I'll list it, pay the $500, the $1,000, whatever. And I was doing that early on top of a lot of other stuff.
So you took that money and then did?
I was just paying my bills. That was just to eat. Like that was more so money I would make while I'm waiting on deals I would sell to you guys to close, because I didn't know about investing then.
Gotcha.
So then when I got about 10 or 15 grand off of just selling houses, then I realized, okay, well, I had a foreclosure, and then, I did this short sale. Oh, okay. So a short sale, guys, for those that don't know, is when you short the bank how much money you owe them. In this particular economy, even right now, there's a lot of people that are behind on their mortgage. And if you're behind it, I'm talking shit. Let me stop.
If you're behind on your mortgage.
There's a lot of people that are behind on their mortgage. So when you're behind on your mortgage, you can actually help them avoid foreclosure by doing what's a short sale. So imagine you have a credit card and you owe 30 grand on your credit card. You didn't pay this credit card in a year. You got these people from India hitting you up trying to get you to pay. So they'll say, hey, you can settle your credit card for 8 grand or 7 grand. you owe them 30. It's the same thing with houses. So imagine you settled the credit card for $7,000 that you owed 30 grand on. Well, you can settle somebody's debt on a house. They may have owed 500 for maybe 350. So I was doing a lot of short sales around that time as well. And then I would see houses listed, they would have a mortgage on there for 150,000 because the market was so bad. I would get the mortgage approved for a short sale at $8,000.
Wow.
So I'll go buy the house that was really had a debt on there for 150 for $8,000, then sell it for 40.
Wow.
So I was doing that. So then I'm like, okay, cool. And then now I go flip it again by doing another short sale where I'll buy another house that I did some sort of strategy on. And next thing you know, I'm making money and it's working on top of being a real estate agent.
Yeah.
And I'm an investor and an agent.
Got you.
Nice.
And
that's why I started. Like when I was like, what agent I'm gonna go to? I was like, he in there. He doing it. He's doing the real. He's doing the thing.
With his broker.
That's right. That's my broker.
she was my first.
That's my broker.
Here was my first real estate agent I ever had.
That's relationships.
That's fam. Like
Right.
she was my first real estate agent.
I was like, listen, he's it. He is doing the thing every time on social
Are you
media.
still selling houses now?
Listen.
Yeah, she be having her closings now. She be closing.
We got one coming in a few
I ain't
moments.
seen
It's under
one.
real estate.
She
gurus.
closing them. She closing them. She closing them.
No.
But I did it because I knew I wanted to invest. So I said, he's doing the thing. All that stuff on social media, I'm like, he is in the houses. It got to be real. He got on this right here. He
Is
would
that
be
what
there
attracted
making it
you
work.
to him?
Absolutely. Because I knew I wanted to learn from somebody who was doing the thing and not just telling me it, right? Because real estate evolves and changes, right? So, you know, what was going on 20 years ago may not, really kind of fit today.
Gotcha.
So he's still active in the market. Like he's not talking about like, 20 years ago he could say that, but the rates are different. When you've been in the industry for a long period of time, you can see the trends and you know how to kind of forecast the future because you've been down that road before. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, no, he's in the market and he has experience. So I don't care how young he is, he's been doing it. And so I'm going to sign up under him.
Right.
So I was like, done.
So crash 08, 09, right?
Yeah.
What we learned hard lessons from the crash. How did that set you up for how you built your real estate empire? What were you prepared for when COVID came and you kind of racked up? That was been the next epidemic since the
Well, no, COVID was different because they pumped so much money in the market. People was buying sight unseen.
Yeah.
COVID probably was laughing,
COVID,
having a good time.
Yeah. No, I'm glad you brought that up. And Farrah said something important. I don't want to interrupt you.
Go ahead.
But you said that a lot of people have, or you said I've been through a lot of different things.
Yeah.
So guys, and I'm going to reiterate this again. This is the worst real estate market we've been in for over 30 years. Honestly, this year is way worse than 08 to me. Well, in a sense.
Okay.
And the reason why is because I had to figure out, because I'm typically a flipper. You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
And I will say that God challenged me this year, and I appreciate God because God will humble you.
Right? Won't
God
he give you
will
that slice of
humble
pie and be like,
Yes, God will humble you. So the thing is that around 08, it was a little different because, I'm 20, in my early 20s, the market crashed. I just let everything go. I just had me a foreclosure. I'll take the L. It was cool. I was renting out houses that I owned. They were about to be in foreclosure, but I was pocketing the rent. Mm-hmm. Credit was jacked up. So that's how I lived off the rent from not paying the mortgage and fighting the bank. But this year, 2024, I was like, okay, I can't sell houses. And a lot of times when you have people that are flippers, their mainstream income is off of selling houses. Right. So I was like, all right, how do I make money and a lot of it without selling houses, but still being in the business? So that's when I got humbled.
You had to put that.
I gotta maintain my lifestyle.
You got family.
I gotta still build in this bad market. Real estate agents ain't making no money, which I don't, realtors are not making money because they're not selling houses. Investors are going to get jobs because they can't sell their properties.
Right.
But yet God blessed me this year to make this my best year ever and not sell a house since February.
Come on now.
Wow. What'd you do?
So how did I do that?
Right.
And then so honestly, I can't spill all that on this. Y'all come see me. But at the same time, I just developed a lot of methods to, make sure that, okay, well, let's look at it like this. If this is a bad market and you can buy a lot of properties that are cheap. Well, back when the market crashed, like properties were cheap, but people couldn't buy them because they didn't have any cash. And it's the same thing now. People can't necessarily buy the properties because they don't have any cash. So I was like, well, I'm just going to buy as many properties as I can. And I just started buying a bunch of houses. I was like, all right, I'm going to buy as many houses as I can. So this year I'm just going to buy, my goal is to have at least 100 extra
How many have you bought
ones.
so far? We're about to close out the year now.
You know what? By the end of the year, I don't know. I'm doing 45 houses in 45 days, but I don't know how many I've actually bought like to date right now. Cause I'm buying so many, like I bought 3 today. I'm buying another 4 or 5 Monday or Tuesday. So I'll have to go look, but it's a spreadsheet. But the point is I was like, all right, so one hack that you guys can do is this. If you don't have cash in this market, I already showed you how I can make some cash. That's one. There's a bunch of other ways. But in regards to this year being my best year ever, you build your net worth not on selling, but on actually truly keeping it. One of the things that I really hated as an investor is I hated selling stuff all the time. You really make more money and you build your assets off of just allowing the asset to continue to appreciate. So what I did was every time I buy something, just rent it out.
Yeah.
Buy something, rent it out. Let the people pay the mortgage for you. So, there's a lot of hacks and stuff like that. But for that particular thing, it was just straightforward. And there's a lot of stuff I could talk about. But you can just buy the house, just rent it out. Let the people pay the mortgage on it. You know?
Sure.
And then
you took like equity out, like a HELOC.
yeah, you can take some equity out and then just buy it, rent it out,
Yeah.
let it build and just buy a ton of them.
Right.
Yeah.
So then next thing you know, you got this huge portfolio of houses. They're all debt servicing each other. You're still building your cash. Y'all are tax people. I don't
They
think
would
you get
lend off-
taxed on money that you borrowed off of a house.
you
100%.
don't.
Right?
No tax
then-
on loans.
Yeah.
No tax
So-
on loans, lines, equity, only
Yeah.
on earned income.
Right. So now, yeah, there you go. Yeah, you guys
And
tax
depreciated,
professionals.
so the
And
money
you can
gone.
depreciate it.
Right.
There you have it. So then all these houses,
And you could leverage the whole portfolio against the
if
bank.
you wanted to, if you
can.
wanted to.
Yeah.
So now the houses won't be this cheap for a long time. So just buying a whole bunch of them, let them debt service, and then just running so many other different plays when it comes to vertical integration on top of, even running different plays on getting them even less than market value, even though they're already cheap,
Yeah.
even cheaper. And now next year it's going to
I guess you got a rental company. You're doing like
real estate gurus. That's all. That's
Okay.
all we do. Hey, real
Okay.
estate gurus help lease it out. Agents in the company
Okay.
help lease them out.
That sounds
But,
like
yeah.
we kind of got a forecast on what's happening because you started buying up properties now. So
'Cause nobody's
2025,
buying.
yeah,
nobody's
but they
buying.
need
So
places to
2025,
live. Rental,
100%. So what's the future look like for real estate
Yeah.
in your companies overall?
For sure. So right now, 2024, the market stood still. Like nobody was buying. You asked about COVID.
Yeah.
So during COVID, everybody had cash. Everybody was trying to buy.
Right.
And the prices got inflated a lot. So now, because nobody's trying to buy, you always buy low, sell high. That's it. So what I did was I'm just saying, let me buy like as much as I can. Like my goal for next year, I want to have at least, I know this number sounds crazy, but I should have at least an extra 150 conservatively to maybe 300. But I know on a bad day, I can do 150 houses next year for sure.
Oh my God.
Right. But
And you're all in the Metro Atlanta, or you're saying
Just all over.
Okay.
Just all over.
Okay.
But the thing is that COVID, the prices shot up because money was so cheap. Now the prices were a lot lower
Yeah.
because there's no money.
Yeah.
Next year, money is going to start getting cheaper and cheaper. So all I'm doing is just sitting on the sidelines. Well, not sitting on the sidelines. I'm actually buying. But the people that are sitting on the sidelines are going to get off next year. Some of them are starting to come off now. And then the prices are going to start creeping up more and more. And
Then
as
the
a
equity, the
result.
prices you bought that are low, the value and the equity in them are going to grow. You're going
It's
to be
gonna keep
winning,
growing.
winner,
It's gonna
chicken
keep
dinner
growing.
for sure.
Right. For sure. No, 100%.
No, for sure, because that's how it go. And the Fed is lowering it again. They said by December again,
Right.
the Fed is lowering it.
Yeah.
So
And
you
then-
bought low, they going to get out the market, and then your competitive advantage is because you have more
Yeah.
inventory.
100%. Yeah. And then the
Yeah.
thing is that for me, when the rates get lower, now my inventory is going to make more money because I got cheaper money.
Yeah.
So I can just refinance my properties now. And then even if I have a few hundred or so, and even on a bad day, if I'm making $600 a house, $600, and let's say you got that by 200, just to make it simple, what's that? 600 a house times 200. That's what, 120,000.
Now, I ain't that good at math. I can get my phone now,
Month.
Justin. Let me see.
I think it's 120,000.
Yeah.
I think it's 120,000 just in
Okay.
passive income if you even did it like that.
Okay.
And then that's still not including how much equity is in the house. So let's say the market shoots up, and let's say to be conservative on a bad day, the equity is just 60 grand. So then 60 grand on 200,000, 200
200
houses.
homes.
So then six times two, that's still 12. So that's like $12 million.
And wealth
And I
that
could be wrong.
potentially.
I could be
let me
wrong.
see.
It
You
might
want me
be.
to do my math?
What's
Let me see.
what's
Hold on, let me see.
60,000 times 200? I think it's 12 million though. I could be wrong.
60,000 times
I think it's 12
times what? 12
times
oh 200 because it's
I
200
think
doors.
I think it's just 12 million.
It's 12 million.
Yeah,
Come on.
but the thing is that that's just an example
Right.
of if you were to acquire 200 houses in a certain period of time, and then you're just running that particular play. But there's so many plays to run, even with commercial and everything, because commercial's so cheap too.
For sure. Oh my goodness. It was so much. Did y'all enjoy that? Listen, Justin has so much information. So much. One last question, then we're gonna open up the Q&A, see if anyone has anything. So it's a lot, as business owners, right? You have a lot of different divisions. How do you manage all the different companies, plus being a father and a husband? Like how?
Yeah, I think my wife on that. So my wife is my business partner. Like, she helps
Beautiful.
me.
His family, they're like Ebony Magazine
Hey,
family. They're
I don't know. Maybe she is. I don't know about me.
y'all
but-
do good together. Y'all, it's a good package deal.
Well, I appreciate that. And I appreciate my wife because she helps me run a lot of the different businesses and then just having good people in the corner. So
Yeah.
we got a lot of staff and we got a lot of people that have certain things that they take care of because you can't do it on your own. And you guys, of all people, know that. So just having people that have their designated areas and we all check in with each other, how's this going? And that's mainly it. Just having that right team in place.
Got it. Right. So relationships, team building,
Yeah.
right? Partnership, right? In real estate, guys. That's that's it. All right. We can add
Q&A.
another Q&A question. Anybody, if you got a question, you can come to the mic and ask a question.
Hey, my name is Malik. I had a quick question about Section 8, and I was just trying to get your opinion on it because it was something I was looking forward to doing.
Yeah. So I actually have a few properties that I Section 8 out. And Section 8's cool. I think like any tenant, you just got to make sure you vet them. And one of the mistakes that I made, because I have a lot of my staff that was vetting the Section 8 tenants, they didn't really vet them in a sense. When I say it, they didn't go talk to the previous landlord and see how they were. So I got one Section 8 tenants in my house right now. They completely trashed the house like first 2 days in there.
Oh my
so
God.
they pay on time now. But I got another Section 8 tenant. They're great. They cool. They keep the house clean. So I would just say is maybe fought with a previous landlord, and because my people didn't do that, they was doing it quick, and that's a simple thing.
Right.
But I'm not
Yeah.
managing it.
Right.
So,
That's one of
but
the
Section 8,
burdens,
in
yeah.
my opinion, it depends on the caseworkers too, because they'll tell me, hey, this caseworker, man, they, are really anal, this, that, and the third. And then when you are looking to get paid, I didn't know that they can't move in for this particular one. Like I said, this is what my staff is telling me, but I was supposed to get paid with one person moving in, let's say on the 15th of the month. They say, well, no, we backdate you. We can't pay you for that. We'll pay you on the 1st, and then we'll pay you for that part of that half of the month backdated to that. So depending on how your pocket's looking, you got to just make sure you're careful when the move-in dates are so you can make sure you get compensated. But Section 8, I ain't got no problem with Section 8. I just know that some of the caseworkers, from what my staff was saying, was, can be kind of tedious and cumbersome, but they pay on time. So, I mean, but I prefer, in my opinion, I like regular tenants. I ain't got to deal with all the hoops. So going forward, I prefer not to deal with Section 8 if I don't have to. I just like getting regular tenants.
Gotcha. Okay. Mm-hmm. Appreciate it. Thank you.
No, for sure.
So in 2025, I plan on starting my real estate journey. And I just wanted to kind of get some clarity on, like, I guess the angle. I was thinking about starting, like, getting a multiplex home. How do you feel about multiplex homes? And then from multiplex homes, do you feel that we should go into single family, or do you think we should go into more of like commercial space? Because I want to kind of get to like hotels and apartment complexes ownership wise, because that when you have 60 some units, you already know. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I'm speaking to the choir, but just how do you feel about that journey? Because that's what I want to start next year with my first home being a multiplex, and then that multiplex paying off everything else in the future.
Right. So it's so funny you brought that up because I was having this conversation a few times, even today. So when I got into real estate and got my real estate license, I was actually also a hotel broker. So I was selling a lot of hotels, mid-size and small-size hotels. And a lot of these hotel owners, when the market crashed, they ended up getting out of the hotel business. They got out of hospitality.
Wow.
They said that we're going to go buy all these cheap houses. So they were selling their hotels to go buy hundreds of homes. Mm-hmm. And I think multifamily is good and buying apartment complexes is cool, but you'll see that a lot of these hedge funds now, and they've been doing this over the past years, they've been buying single family homes. So you'll have these big, huge companies own 19,000 homes, 25,000 homes, 30,000 homes, 50,000 homes. And it's becoming an issue with people that are looking to buy first-time homes because of the fact that affordable housing is now owned by corporations.
For sure.
Well, why is it the corporations are buying single family? That's the key question. And the answer to that question is the rate of return is higher. Because if you think about it like this, if you have this big multi-billion-dollar corporation and you buy a bunch of commercial property and apartment complexes, it's hard to get off of that. Mm-hmm. So if they need to free up their cash,
You can just sell a house or two.
they can sell off a few different properties and still free up maybe a few $1 million. Versus if you own this 100 unit apartment complex, you're only freeing up cash off of refinancing or selling it. And how many people that got the money to buy a 120 unit apartment complex?
Right.
$2 million.
So the thing is that, and I feel, and this can be debated, but it sounds like Wall Street understands that rate of return and the risk, as far as risk versus reward for dealing with single family, is actually, the rate of return and the risk factor is significantly lower than dealing with multifamily. So they just been buying, I'm sure they buy apartment complexes too, but the writing's on the wall. Single family makes sense. And I've noticed, and you guys will probably know this when you do your research, but a lot of multifamilies are also overpriced. Mm-hmm. So the rate of return with multifamilies are significantly less than if you go buy a single family that's discounted. And then you could still offload it. So, multifamilies are still good, but you also see a lot of new construction of multifamily too.
Yeah.
And I feel that a lot of new construction is coming because it's cheaper than buying an existing building that you didn't have to renovate.
Right.
So you'll see the new construction side go up because you just get a better return because you can control it versus paying for an overpriced, apartment complex that you have to then renovate.
Yeah.
Right.
So even for me, I'm going to be getting into more of the multifamily, but I'm going to go ground up because if I can go build an apartment complex for, let's say, 2.5 mil, and then after repair value is around 5 or 6, it's a no brainer.
Yeah.
But again, a lot of people fall into the hype of I want to buy a duplex or a quad, and that's perfect as long as you get the right price for it. But if you're going to go pay, let's say $110,000 or $120,000 a door for a quad, right? That you can only rent out each part for maybe, $1,500 or $1,600.
Right.
You can go buy a single family for $160.
Right.
That you can then lease out for $22.
You'll make a better profit.
Yeah.
and then not be locked in on all quads. You can still buy 4 doors, but get a better return, and they're all individually separated.
Separate.
Well, it sounds like you got to do some research, right?
Yeah,
the numbers matter.
Yeah,
But I mean,
That's
that's a business. You got to think about the business strategy. Like people, we playing chess. Because why would I get rid of a multifamily to start buying multiple single families? Not only am I getting the tax break or the tax benefit from having it, but it's always about liquidity. Because now I'm ready to buy the next thing, and if I need to free up cash, we got the ability to do it quick. So you always want to think about like kind of what's the end goal? What are we trying to get to or accomplish?
Yeah. Okay.
Good. Next.
Yeah.
Right. Hey, everybody. My name is Malika. And thank you for all the insightful information so far. And I'm kind of asking a question that a lot of people has already asked. But if you were to, you mentioned a lot of good things that you've done, you know, growing up and just molding you into your you now. So if there was 3 things that you would do over again starting today, what would those 3 things be to make you, you know, better than what you are now?
I would not buy mansions to invest in. I would not buy mansions. Like I bought a few mansions in the past, and they are money pits. It is hard to unload multi-million-dollar properties. So those are my worst investments.
Okay.
Hate to say that, but it's true.
Yeah.
And the next thing I would, outside of the money pits, is that's a good question. 2 things I would change. I would say, I would not. So I would stick to what you know. So I actually lost a lot of money off of putting my money in other people's hands. That's the only time I actually lost money, by giving my money to somebody else. I'm not saying it's bad to give money to other people, but I've lost. Every time I lost is because I trusted it with somebody else to do right, and then I took a L. And I realized I could have just invested that myself. And if you have control of your own cash, and I know a lot of other people lost a lot of money off of passing their cash to somebody else.
For sure.
So I would say don't trust in yourself more than other people when it comes to turning your own cash. And if someone says, hey, I can help you make money, okay, cool. Well, you can show me how to make money. I'm going to keep my cash in my bank account. And then we can do this and we can kind of work it that way. And you can kind of show me what to do. So then you can control your own losses. And then the next thing is, I would say, you know, like people, a lot of times people are the ones that also cause you to take L's or losses and stuff like that. So a lot of times I would even take a loss is I'm listening to the wrong people. And in real estate, and that's when it started out. I didn't have a mentor. I know people say this all the time, but really just getting a mentor, I not took too many L's because I didn't have a person that I could really talk to. My mom, she was going through it, and she didn't know not to go deal with that wholesaler or you know, I didn't know to go talk to somebody to deal with this particular person because they're really out to just get, you know,
quick
cash,
dollar or something,
you know, just,
right?
Yeah, just some quick cash. So I would find somebody, and I know people say this all the time. I know it sounds cliche, but to really get somebody that actually knows what they're doing, that also has your best interest in mind. And a lot of times I do wish, but the time I didn't have it is I didn't have money to actually pay somebody to really put me on. And back when I got into the game, and my like I'm 40, guys, so I started, like I said, 21. I'm 40. I'm grown. I'm
Oh my goodness.
I'm super grown now.
Yeah. There wasn't people that you can actually shortcut the line and actually pay just to get to it. And I see all the time is that you'll have people that'll want to get put on, but they don't want to pay for it. And I get it. You know, if you want to go out there and go figure it out on your own and you can do it and make it happen, that's cool. But there's a lot of people in this room that got put on some serious game by actually paying for it.
Yeah.
And you going to pay for one another. You going to pay through blood, sweat, and tears. It might take you a while. Or you going to pay for it up front so you can go ahead and get straight to it. And I learned, I'm like, you know what? I got to just pay. So I ask people, hey, how much you going to charge me so I can just get to it? Because when you get older, I ain't got time to figure shit out for 10 years.
Definitely don't.
I just want to get to it. So I realized the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. So what's the straightest line I can get there? And what are the resources or the connections that I can make or what I can pay? Because most people that they're on a certain level, they don't even like talking to people. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm not really a social guy. Like, I don't network with people. I don't talk to people. I realize how to make money, not even have to see people. So when I have people that come to me, I'm like, look, you want to learn how to make money, how to deal with people? This is what you do. So then you become antisocial. So the more money you make, the more you don't even want to deal with people. And then them people are so inaccessible. So then you're like, well, how do I get with this person? Well, if you pay them, they'll tell you what's up. And then that's when I learn, okay, all right. And you just start getting with those people. And then you say, hey, what can you do? And
and that's also a form of way of building a relationship, right?
Yeah.
So if someone pays you for coaching and mentorship, you have a relationship there with you, right? They'll be more inclined to answer the phone.
Yeah.
Let's make sure they got your best interest in mind.
For sure.
So I'll see it all the time. People will be like, I really want to get on this level, and like, can you put me on? But those people that are on that level, they're just too busy. So then you have to compensate them for their time, and that's it. So every time I deal with anybody, I'll say, hey, what's it going to cost me for your time so I can get to this? And then, that works.
All right.
No, thank you.
All right. Good questions, y'all. Good questions. All right, Maya.
Yeah.
That's right. Take control of it.
Hi, I'm Maya. Thanks for the information. You're dropping a lot of gems. But I do have a question. I recently, I heard about wholesaling, and your information earlier about that topic really kind of intrigued me. So I was kind of scrolling through my timeline, trying to learn as much as I can about a little bit of everything. And I came across REITs. So my question was, what is your opinion on REITs? And if you are someone who does REITs, what is the most important thing when you're starting out, information-wise, you should know about the REIT?
Yeah, for sure. So a REIT, for you guys who don't know, is a real estate investment trust. So, and you guys don't know this either. So I used to work on Wall Street. I had an internship out there. I worked at this company called Credit Suisse, first Boston, but now it's called Credit Suisse. And there we were securitizing mortgages. It's CMBS, commercial mortgage, the commercial mortgage group, commercial mortgage-backed securities, excuse me. So we were creating bonds on securitizing loans for commercial property. But anyhow, REITs, real estate investment trusts, they're basically, companies where they're buying a bunch of real estate and people getting certain returns. And funny enough, one of the things, now I was thinking maybe it might be a goal, but I think REITs are cool. I mean, you get with the right people. That's actually one of the things I was thinking about wanting to start. So funny enough, in order to go public, if you guys want to have a publicly traded company, one of the criteria is you have to have a revenue over $100 million. And a few other things. Once you get to that 100 million mark, you can then start, filing to go public. So I was thinking to myself, I need to build enough assets to create a REIT. And then with the REITs, you can then, get traded public and people invest with you and stuff like that. But I would say go for it. I mean, real estate, you got the right managers over there and, you got the people making the right money. I mean, you can't lose. Now, personally, like I was talking to a young lady earlier, is versus, for me personally, I would think you should probably start your own REIT. I say, because if you have 20 grand, you can take your own 20 grand and outdo the return that the REIT's going to give you. Because then you can go invest that yourself, go buy a bunch of properties yourself, and you can turn that 20 grand to probably 100 grand, and then turn that 100 grand to probably something obscene. And then next thing you know, you're starting your own REIT, and then you're going to be dealing with people that don't want to know what you do. They just want to get a certain rate of return. So in that regard, it depends on the person you are. Do you want just to get a certain rate of return and not know how to make the money? Because that's what I do with my fund. I'll say, okay, if you want to just get a certain rate of return, give me your cash. You ain't got to know what I do with it. Just know I'm making you the money. But if you really make the real money, you can just invest it yourself. And then you create your own returns and then deal with the people that are a little more, standoffish. Give them their certain return while you're making the killing on the back end. Does that answer your question?
Yes. Thank you.
Dang.
Yo, quick question, man. You mentioned some big goals: 45 cribs in 45 days, 150 by next year. What's the end game look like for you in terms of just holistically?
Yeah, I think my goal is kind of like what she brought up. I want to.
You want to do a REIT?
Yeah, I want to do like I always want to do like some sort of IPO. So my goal is just to bring the revenue up to around the 100 million mark, so I can then create something to where I can put on, NASDAQ and stuff like that or something.
That's
I
a
think
lot of
that would
doors you
be
got to
the end
hold,
goal.
right?
Yeah, I think that would be the end goal. But then I'm gonna have to be honest. I don't know if I want to deal with the accounting aspect of it, because then we go public, you deal with a lot of scrutiny and stuff.
Transparency.
So then,
You got to open up the books.
and then it's like, do I want that? But at the same time, real estate's so
Like hire
so
a firm.
easy. It's kind of like, well, but I think the main thing is I just want come next year is to really buy as many properties as I can. Like, even though my low end goal is 150 houses, really I want to get at least around 300. And I know I can hit it because I got a lot of different strategies. And that's why, like I said, man, I even realized I could do some of these strategies even up to the past couple years. I was like, what? I can do that? So then when I realized how to structure deals, how to do deals, you guys can buy commercial property, you could do apartment complexes, hotels. Like, there's nothing to really do it. I mean, even for example, I save money just off of having sellers do a carryback. A seller carryback, for you guys who don't know, it's a simple concept. Let's say that my down payment is supposed to be 20% on an apartment complex. Well, some lenders will allow the seller to carry 10% of the debt. So if I'm buying an apartment complex for hypothetically $1 million and I'm supposed to bring $200,000 to a closing table, I can then just bring $100,000 to a closing table and save myself the $100,000 off of convincing the seller to do a 10% carryback.
Okay. Almost like a seller financing situation.
Exactly. And sometimes you can even buy an apartment complex without even putting up cash by having the seller actually cover your down payment based off the lender. Certain lenders are cool with the sellers covering the down payment for you with the 20%, down payment off of the carryback. So then if you go call enough apartment complexes, hey, this thing, the lender's like, okay, well, cool. So the seller, it's just so many different ways to structure real estate, especially with commercial, because a lot of commercial got hit hard. When I say commercial, office buildings, office space has been hit hard, especially due to COVID. So you can buy office buildings like this significantly cheaper than you could have 10 years ago. But again, I mean, there's just so many different ways to structure deals that, not even talking about myself, that you guys can do. Because the main thing is y'all can make so much money. It's just that, again, having that, the different methods to structure it, and then the connections to get you guys your loans and to get you guys all the money that you need to be successful. And a lot of you guys can use each other. So a lot of people, like even Farrah, I'll call T, and I'll say, hey, look, why don't we do this? Why don't we collaborate on this? You can collaborate with your neighbor to where if you're short 10 grand or short 15 grand, or, you might know some people that are in this room that can help you guys get that down payment. You can structure it, give them a certain percentage, so you're still not coming out of pocket and you're still taking down the property and giving them a little percentage or giving them a cut after you do what you do, or refinance it, buy them out. It's just too many ways. But again, it's just having those resources and
leveraging those relationships. That's what I hear. That's like the biggest thing, relationships.
Strategic thinking.
For sure. And not being fearful, right? I mean, you could have fell down and decided not to get back up.
I can't tell you. I can't tell you.
No
how many
fear.
times
Like, let me just keep going. I've
called T and Farrah. I was like, hey, I need some help. Hey, what's I can't tell you how many times, but you gotta have those relationships. Got to.
For sure. All right, let's go, Trey. Here we go. Question.
Trey, great information, by the way. You were just talking about loans, so I had a question about it. What do you think about DCSR loans, like buying homes with that, or is there like a better option to use with that?
What does that mean again? I know I get those loans when people not ask the lender. I was like, what does that mean? I said DSCR, right?
I think it's DCSR or DSCR. I forget.
Okay, no, it's cool. But basically, actually get those type of loans. But those loans are when you don't really have to show all that W-2 stuff.
Yeah.
And I asked the lenders, like, what does that mean? I don't know, but that's what the loans are doing. But I got my own, and I have my own lending company. And you think I should know this, but basically, yeah, those loans are pretty much what I like to get. You know, they just straightforward loans, you in and out. You're paying a little bit more money, you know,
Like the
as far as the interest rates.
loans.
Entrepreneur
Yeah.
loans.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those type of loans, they might just go off your bank statements. And some don't even require bank statements. Some are just no doc loans.
For sure.
But you're going to pay a bigger interest rate. So you might be
30%.
paying, huh?
Like 30%.
Well, no, it shouldn't be that high. No, not at all. So, like a lot of the
That's
different,
high.
yeah,
No,
yeah,
that's
you should be.
No, not the interest rate, but I was
The
like,
down
the
payments?
down payment cost.
Yeah.
That's
No,
what I
no,
was gonna say. I was-
no, not at all. We got you. So, like a lot of those DSR loans or whatever, like you might be putting down 10%. But your interest rate might be, well, now interest rates might be like 8% or 7% or, you know, or 7.5%, depending on your credit score. But no, you should never be putting down 30%. That's too much, you know? So yeah, but, it'll be around 10%, you know, or something along those lines, you know, maybe investment property, 15%, 20%, depending. But even if you're getting that type of loan and it's an owner occupant, it's probably still around 10%. So, but those loans are important, and I love them because a lot of times entrepreneurs, we don't file a whole lot of money in our taxes. In order to go get approved for a house, it might be 500 grand. You might have to be showing, I don't know, fair 200 grand or 110 grand.
For sure.
Debt service is a little certain. So then if you're filing, you're making 100 grand a year and you're, you know, an entrepreneur and you're paying 30% in taxes on it, and then you can still make, you know, in your, let's say you're not making 100 grand a year,
Yeah.
you're getting a revenue of 400, but your expenses are whatever, right?
The no doc loan makes sense. Let's show bank statements versus your tax returns.
So then you're not having to pay the 30%, because I'll say this: you have actually people that I know that they're not even making 100 grand a year, but they want to go buy a house that is worth a certain amount. So they'll go file to go show they're making 100 grand a year. Now they're paying 30 grand in taxes on money that they probably shouldn't even had to pay, because they could have really just not had to do that. And then they go get approved for the loan, and they could have just dealt with them making 40 grand a year, but still showing their revenue
Then
in their
they try
business.
to amend it, and the IRS starts to audit you, and then
Yeah.
you're like, "Well, that's mortgage fraud."
Yeah. And then on top of that, like, even though they're making, let's say 40 grand a year, but they have the revenue coming in, they can still go get the $500,000 house because if the bank statements approve it, and they're good. So yeah, but yeah.
So good. Look, man, this was good. Y'all give it up for Justin, man. So if the people want to, obviously you teaching, you doing, you building. We're trying to get to 200-300 doors by next year, get to 100 million. How can the people find you? Are you doing mentor? Is it open 2025?
Yeah. So all my social media is Top Fund Manager. And unlike a lot of people, I just do one class a year. That's it. You know, I make my money off of actually running the plays. So I got one class a year. It's called the 500 grand a year, 500grandayear.com. But basically, well, I'll take anybody from wherever walk of life and show them how to make a minimum of 500 grand in a year starting from scratch. That class is January. We do it one time a year, every January, January 31st, 2025 to February 2nd. 500grandayear.com. But all my social media is Top Fund Manager, everything Top Fund Manager. But yeah, like I do that once a year, because the plays, I ain't got time to be coaching people all year.
Because you're doing it.
I'm
You
doing
working. You got to
like
run your
folks out there.
business. Yeah.
Yep. And the thing is that it's not cheap. We ain't selling classes for $100, nothing like that. Class starts from $2 grand to $3 grand. However, per 100 grand you make, you got to pay me 10 grand. So we do NDAs, everything, because I know my stuff works. So we do it 5 times in that year. So we do it per 100 grand. We do it 5 times, pay me 10 grand. Okay, that's 100 made. That's 200 made. Okay, another 10 grand. But you're locked into the contract. And if you don't do nothing the rest of the year, you still pay me 5 grand. But my stuff works. That's why I can do it like that. And it's only for people that hop into that class. But that's it. That's the only thing I'm doing. Outside of that, they can't catch me.
That's a good deal. You got to, because if they make money, you make money. That's a good
100%.
deal. You got to, okay.
Just them getting to the class, they get the information, and then I know it works. So we run the place. And how it's cool is that I end up buying a lot of properties from the people in the class anyway.
For sure.
So we all end up making a lot of money together. And a lot of people end up collaborating with people in the class, and they start taking down deals and buying deals and
Fostering that community, those relationships with other investors. Love it. All right.
Good,
Well,
man.
thank you so much for stopping in
Yeah.
for another episode of Minding
Thanks
Your
for having me.
Biz, right?
Yeah,
Guys, don't
man.
forget to like, comment, share, tell a
that
friend,
bell.
tell a friend. Productions,
Y'all
I'm
better
looking here.
subscribe.
Tell a friend, subscribe. We on YouTube, right?
100%.
All
This
right.
this is gonna be on our channels, man. Y'all let us know what y'all learned, questions y'all got, and join the class if you're trying to level up 2025. We'll see you when we see you. Peace.
subscribe. Let's go.